Hello, everyone. My name is Yunding. I'm product owner, and I'm also developer of CodeProfiler for HANA. I'm happy to be here to give you an overview about CodeProfiler for HANA. You know, developing SAP HANA application is a very challenging task. It has new programming languages like SQL Script, XSJS JavaScript, SAPUI 5, and now everyone is talking about SAP HANA XSR, XS Advanced. And you also need new development environments. For the desktop development, you need SAP HANA Studio, or people are also using Eclipse with SAP HANA tools installed as plugin. We are also using SAP HANA web-based development workbench. It seems to be Web IDE will be the trend. So there are currently still a lot of changes about Web IDE. We want to support our customers to develop secure HANA applications from the very beginning. You know, software development has different stages. You can use CodeProfiler for HANA already in the implementation stage. So we scan your source code. We don't need executable codes. You know, the earlier you can detect errors, you can fix it, and it's less expensive than you fix them at later stages. And currently, our CodeProfiler for HANA is integrated into Eclipse and also into SAP HANA Studio. We keep a close eye on the development of Web IDE. Once it gets more stable, we'll also provide integration to Web IDE. And now we can scan SQL Script and we can scan XSJS JavaScript. We also have a prototype for SAP UI 5. I want to show you here the different components we have within our CodeProfiler for HANA. We have the Eclipse Plugin. This is very useful for the developer in their daily work. They can manually start a scan. And for your testing, for example, nightly build testing, you can use our batch scanner. This is useful when you want to scan a large number of HANA systems and when you want to repeat the scan or automate the scans. You can keep track of the findings and also the auditing status of your findings in our finding manager. And to support transition phase and maintenance phase, we provide TMS integration, Transport Management System integration. So how these components interact with each other? We have here Eclipse Plugin and we have here Batch Scanner. We all need source codes to scan. We export the source code from your HANA system. HANA provides an export API, allowing us to export the HANA packages. Once we completed the scanning, we can upload the results into our finding manager. The finding manager provides an API allowing the TMS integration to query scan results for each objects which are included in the transport request. For the TMS integration, we have a separate scanner which is designed for parallelity, for asynchronous processing. So you have seen the components of CodeProfiler for HANA. As next step, I will show you every component in more detail. And I will also show you how the components in live systems. So at first, let's see the Eclipse plugin. It works like a spell checker, like Word. It checks for vulnerabilities in your source code. Here you see our Eclipse plugin, and you see we have installed the plugin. You have the different kind of menus. I will show you later in live. With Eclipse plugin, you have two use cases. You can automatically scan the source file, which is currently in your editor, like here, and the code which is vulnerable will be highlighted. And you can also scan complete packages with the plugin. So let me show you the plugin in action. Here, I have already installed our plugin, and here you see a source file. One of the lines is highlighted here in yellow. So I can follow the link to see why it is highlighted. I get the description of this vulnerability. It means the status here is not set. You get the description, why it is a vulnerability, what is the business risk, and most importantly, you get a recommendation how to fix this problem. So it recommends me to set the status. I will do that. I already prepared here in this line. So now the status has been set. You see another color highlighting another vulnerability here. Now it is another test case. It means the content type is not set. I can also follow here the recommendation to set the content type. This is here. And immediately you see another vulnerability. So I also follow the link. You see it is a cross-site scripting vulnerability. So let's fix here. I will escape the user input. And now it works. So you get instant feedback when a developer is doing the coding. So let me show you the second test case where you can scan one or more selected packages. I have selected here 2 packages, and let me start the scanning. It's very fast. So actually, it exports the HANA packages from your HANA system. It performs the scanning, and it also creates a PDF report. For those of you who know CodeProfiler for ABAP, the structure of the PDF report is quite similar to the report in CodeProfiler for ABAP. You get a summary, and you get the different findings sorted by categories such as security, performance, maintainability, robustness. And let us just see one of the findings, for example, SQL injection. Also here you see the description, you see the business risk, and you see the source code which are involved. And for SQL injection, you see the vulnerable line of code and also the information where this external import comes from. So you see the data flow. So back to my slides. Eclipse plugin is useful for the developer during their daily work. But if you want to scan a large number of HANA systems, for example, 20 systems, it's not convenient to do it all manually. With our batch scanner, you can perform the scanning in batch mode. You can run the scanner in Windows, in Unix, Linux, and here you need to provide a scan configuration, telling me which system you want to scan, telling us which are the connection data, user credentials, and so on. The scan configuration is in XML. For our customers who don't want to work with XML, we also provide a user interface for that. So with this user interface, you can create new configurations for scanning, and you can also load existing configuration if you want to modify it. Let me show you a few aspects. For example, here's the place you specify which HANA system you want to connect. As I mentioned before, we export HANA source code from HANA system to our batch scanner. So to protect your source code in transit, we provide HTTPS. And here in this user interface, you can easily check your connection, whether you have specified the right connection data. With the Eclipse plugin, you have seen the PDF report. And now with Batch Scanner, you are scanning, for example, 20 systems. We provide the option that you can generate PDF report per system. So if you are scanning 20 systems, you get 20 PDF reports. So you may ask, what is the rationale behind it? The reason behind it is, at one hand, you don't want to bother your findings to bother other people with your own findings. At the other hand, you might not be keen to share your findings with other departments. That's why we provide this separation of reports. Apart from reports in PDF, we also export reports in XML and in CSV. To some extent, we can also support customized reports. For example, you can skip some field in the report. You need to implement our interface. And I want to show you another aspect here. So in the configuration, you need to specify your user credentials, like username and password. And the configuration will be stored in your file system. So you are wondering how we protect your credentials in the file system. Here you see the option that you can encrypt your credentials before you export your configuration to the file system. So the result here is your credentials will be encrypted. For the encryption, we use password-based encryption. You type in here, in this field, your password. We derive from your password a secure encryption key. We never store your password, and we never hard-code any cryptographic keys in our product. So last week, we had a phone call to support one of our customers. I asked them to show me the scan config. The administrator is a very responsible person. He has removed all the password before he showed me the configuration. So I told him, if you use this feature, you don't have to remove the passwords before, because I cannot decipher your encrypted password just by looking at it. So let me just show you. I think you can't see here from this distance. This is the XML file of the batch scanner. So I will not show you. I will start the batch scanning. For the batch scanner, you don't need other third-party software. You only need Java 8. So let me start the batch scanning from console. I'm asked to type in my password. And now it's running. So once it is finished, the scan results will be uploaded to the finding manager. So let me at first show you this, the finding manager before we look into the results. The finding manager has two parts. At the client side, it is browser-based. It is SAP UI5 application. And at the server side, we persist both the findings and we also persist your audit trail in the HANA database. So let me show you the finding manager in action. The batch scanning has just completed. Let me log on to the finding manager and look for the scan. So I give the scan the name CP4H. I think now it's 2019, around this time. Yes, so we just performed the scan, batch scan, CP4H. I scanned two systems, HA1 and HA2. And you get here the summary of findings. We found there are 14 findings with high impact, 99 with medium impact, 93 with low impact. So let us take a closer look at these findings. The findings are sorted by systems. So the first one, the second one, you can filter the findings by the different categories. And let us take a look at one of the medium findings on this system, for example. You see in this panel the source code. So you can locate where is the finding. And here you can get a finding overview. So this finding is status not set, the same one as I showed you in Eclipse Plugin. And you can get here the test case details. Here you see a set of status you can use to set the finding status. This is the auditing part. So in this case, I just say this finding should be fixed soon. I type in my comment to be fixed soon. So you see here your comment and your status change will be persisted. You get an audit trail. Let's say I'm tired, I just don't want to fix this issue. So I say this is not an issue, just don't want to fix. You get a permission error, so you cannot do this. Why? With Finding Manager, we enforce access control. So an auditor is allowed to change the finding status, and only a QA is allowed to set the no issue status. So your developer cannot just go to the Finding Manager and say everything is okay, they are all false positives. So as next, I'm going to talk about our TMS integration. The idea, the workflow is follows. You have your source code on your source HANA system, for example, in the development. And you have a target HANA system. This is for the QA, for the production. And you want to release a transport from source system to target system. Between the two systems, our CTS Plus with TMS integration will come into place. So a scan will be automatically started to scan your transport requests. Depending on the results, if everything's okay, we will approve this transport. And if this is not the case, so it means it has critical findings, we will block the transport. In this case, you have two choices. Either you get a QA and he will set the finding status to no issue, or if it is a real issue, a developer has to fix the issue. The TMS integration is integrated into HANA application lifecycle management. You see here two tabs, the settings and CTS export. With the settings, you need your HANA system, and your HANA system must be enabled for CTS transport. And when you start here, the CTS export, this is where your transport starts. You need a CTS Plus system, and a CTS Plus system is used to transport HANA objects. The transport organizer here, this UI, is a WebDumpro application. For our TMS integration, we have extended this UI. You see here the extra button, CodeProfiler for HANA. So when you click on this button, your transports will be sent to our scan service for scanning. The CTS Plus system is connected via Java connector to our scan service. And possibly you have many people working on your CTS Plus system. They want to transport their transport requests. That's why we support asynchronous processing of scan requests. You see here a queue. The scan request will arrive in this queue. When one of the scanner is free, it will pick the scan request to process the scanning. And when you start the scanning, you will see following user interface. In this case, the transport request consists of a few deliverable units. Deliverable units are the units we scan. And here you can see the scan status for each deliverable unit. Either it is okay, free of findings, or it has critical findings, or it is just being scanned. And you can also follow the link to go to the finding manager to see the details. So let me show you this in action. I log on to our application lifecycle management. So our HANA system is enabled for CTS transport. Let me start the CTS. Let me start one transport request. You can assign your deliverable unit to CTS export. You have to do this only once. So I have already selected a few one to CTS export. So now I can attach this deliverable unit to my transport request. I select all of them. And I have to mention I have already started the scan service, the service which has multiple scanners and multiple has a configurable queue. So let me start the transport organizer. So this is this one. And now let me start the transport. Yes, here. So here you can see the finding status. In this deliverable unit, you have some median findings, and you can follow the link to see the details in your finding manager. So let's get back here. So we have talked about separating the findings in different PDF reports. Also for TMS integration, there is the need to separate the findings. You see here two finding manager 1 and finding manager 2. So you see two boxes. In the first box, the finding manager 1 is responsible to keep track of findings from HANA System 1 and HANA System 2. And the second finding manager is responsible to save the findings for two other HANA systems. And you have two CTS Plus systems. They're both connected via IFC connection to our scan services. Because the scan services is designed for parallelity, you don't need to have a central message hub. Let me talk about our scanner, which are the heart of our product. At first, our SQL Script Scanner. It performs static code analysis. Currently, we can scan HANA stored procedures and also user-defined functions. Examples are both Scala and table functions. So in the next half year, we will also support more features from SQL Script like calculation view or SQL analytics. A few words about our XSJS JavaScript Scanner. XSJS JavaScript, it's a dynamic programming language. This introduces a lot of challenges for our scanner because at compile time, you don't have information about the type. And at compile time, you also don't know the data or control flow. So normally, the traditional static code analysis will produce a large number of false positives. People are struggling to achieve a balance between false positives and false negatives. What we are doing is we extend the static code analysis. We utilize runtime information. More concretely, we'll run your source code. So we get runtime information. And we have been developing a scanner for JavaScript-based languages. So it is not only usable for XSJS JavaScript, it is also our basis to scan SAP UI5 source code. And it will also be the basis to scan XSA. And currently, we are able to provide a feature to dynamically update test cases. So you know from anti-malware software, you can dynamically download the malware signatures. We also support this feature. And let me just show you how it works here. Here is our CodeProfiler for HANA plugin. You can configure to automatically upload your test cases. Test cases are our scan logic. Here's the server configuration where you want to download the test cases. You can perform download automatically every time when you start the Eclipse. And you can also say how regularly you want to download scan results. For example, in every hour I want to do this. Another way is to manually trigger the update of scan content. Here you see the scan content you have already downloaded, and when you have performed the last update. So it was today morning, 9:30. And I can toggle an update now. So you see two new files for the signature have been downloaded. So when I toggle now, start the update again, I will see the scan content is already up to date. We have been developing new test cases every day, so this is a very handy feature for you to get the new test cases. You don't need to change your scan engine. Okay, I'm at the end of my presentation.